MG Rob back with you again, and now we're going to start working on the GT suspension a little bit. After last weekend's not so wonderful performance out there on the autocross course, I learned a little bit about the car and I want to make some adjustments. While it feels like it's rotating pretty good to the left, yet I have to be careful not to trail brake into the corner or the car can get upset. It doesn't like turning right very well right now. So even though the weights look pretty decent, one thing I haven't checked yet is I haven't actually checked the camber, toe in, and all that stuff around the car yet. That stuff was set many years ago and was really good then, but there's been a lot of changes to the car since then, and now with the rear end swapped out, we don't know what it looks like back there. That rear axle housing could be tweaked a little bit, might show some toe in, toe out, negative camber on one side, positive on the other. We don't know yet because we haven't checked it. Plus, I put new kingpins on the front of the car, and I've replaced the shocks on the front of the car, which those of you who know the MGBs know that the front shocks are also the upper A-arms. So if there's any production tolerances there, and the length of the arm can change the camber. So we need to check it, see where we're at. Now I would like to check it against my old settings, but I can't find my notebook after 17 years. I don't know where it's at right now to check against what I used to have. I do remember that I had somewhere around 1.5 degrees to 1.75 degrees range in both sides in the front of negative camber, with slight variance from side to side. So I had like 1.5 degrees, 1.5 or 1.5 degrees, 1.75, something along them lines, just a slight variance. So we'll have to check the car and see where we're at now. All right, so this is the setup that I have to check camber with. It's fairly old setup, old school stuff, and looks kind of janky, but it works. So it's a really old snap-on camber gauge, which actually the kingpin angle bubble is broken. But you set this in here on the edge of the wheel and bring this up there so where it touches, and then just make sure that this bubble is level, which is hard to do one-handed. And then check the camber right here by looking at this bubble. Now with my lighting, it's a little bit hard to see, but it's sitting about 1 1/4 degrees right there on the right front. All right, correction. Now that I've used 2 hands to actually set it up properly, it actually comes in about 1.5 degrees. So now to go check the driver's side. So now we're over on the driver's side, and we're only showing 1 degree on this side. So that is a clue to what's going on with the car. Because since the car is heavier on the left side, and I have less camber on the left side, that would make sense why it doesn't want to turn right as well as it does left. So now we're on the right rear, and this is showing almost 0. We'd call it maybe an 1/8 degree positive, maybe a little less. And on the left rear, I'm showing about a 1/2 degree negative. So the rear end is a little tweaked. Now, like I said, it is possible that the upper shocks have some slight variance in them from side to side, and swapping left to right might help some. But I also have these concentric bushings here to go into the top pivot point of the kingpin, and you turn them to adjust the camber. So I'll be using those to try to tweak my camber a little bit. Because what I'm going to try to do is put a little bit more in the left front than I have in the right front to help offset the fact that the car weighs more on the left side. Plus, these tires, from everything I know about them, everything I've read, like a bit more camber than some other tires do. So a degree and a half isn't really enough for these. So I got these bars here I made many years ago that I'd used for checking toe in. So you hook the tape on the one side through that slot and pull it through the other side of the slot, and you measure through there on both sides. As long as you have two tape measures that measure the same, it doesn't matter how the quality of the tape measures or anything, just as long as they're giving you the same measurement on both. So you take the tire, you take this and you put it like that, and then run your measurements and check it. Now what I am showing is just a 1/16 toe in the rear. And right now it's just slightly toed out in the front, which towing out in the front is fine when you're racing, just not so great on the street. Actually can make your turn in a little nicer and sharper when you're racing, but it does make the car feel less stable. Now, showing 1/16 toe in the rear, then I have to question, is one side toed in, the other side square? Or is one side toed out slightly and the other side toed in slightly? Or are both of them toed in just slightly to come up with that 1/16 of an inch? So that's the hard part with the tools I have to work with, is figuring that part out. Because if it turns out that one side's toed in slightly, the other side's toed out slightly, that'll cause the rear of the car to want to steer the car, causing issues just like what I'm having, where it wants to turn one direction but not the other. So I need to figure that out.